Sora Ganyenke Gaono are people of the Longhouse, a Haudenosaunee nation known commonly as Mohawk people, who also are still in this region, and also my own Abenaki nation. We say that this land, Aki, is our mother, and we must all take care of it. That is our old tradition. It is something that we all need to remember. In a land acknowledgement, when we acknowledge those things, that's not all we need to do. We need to behave in a way that maintains that balance between us and all living things, between us and the other generations, and between us and those who were here and who remain here, and whose words and deeds have been part of this land and will be for as long as the sun rises, as long as the rivers flow. It is my great honor to introduce my dear friend, Walking Badger, my dear friend Lance Henson, who actually loaned me a Cheyenne named Hikadoi Naku, which means bear that's walking, quiet bear. And Lance is a poet whose resume spans continents. He's read his poetry all over Europe, the Middle East, North America. He's been in almost every state, and he has always represented indigenous people with dignity and with honor, and with poetry that is lasting and memorable. His many volumes of poetry have been translated into so many languages I can't list them all. He has been a delegate for his Cheyenne Nation to the United Nations. He is an honored member, if I could call it a member, of the Sundance, a person who has the privilege to be a painter. If any of you know about the Sundance, you'll understand that's a very high honor. And to have Lance here among us, to me, is a blessing. And I hope you will enjoy what my dear friend and brother, Lance Henson, shares with you tonight.
You're tall. Maheo na nevisto na meho na shibata mene ne se hat mama ayun na ma ino shibata mene na gutskon na veho at na veho na mukta veho at na sistas. No applause. We Cheyenne people are minimalists when it comes to making sounds. We're going to make the sounds we have to. So I ask you not to applaud. And we'll see what that silence brings. Okay? The Cheyenne word for coyote is okum. And there's been a bounty for okum, like a bounty for my people, like a bounty that exists today in Amazonia and other places where indigenous people come from and are being hunted. 5 poems for coyote from Cheyenne country. He is rust in moonlight. When the Coyote roadman paused, we heard our brother's voice. In snow, 1 track. 8 without ears hang upside down from fence posts near Hammond, Oklahoma. The moonlight splashes in their eyes. This is a poem that considers the flight of birds, their meaning in space and in the silent fluttering of their wings as they pass over us. Rain songs. Birds sitting in the silent trees, the bones of your hands full with disappearing faith. We are calling toward a place where someone is standing, someone who remembers. Small hands opening in sleep, filling with fluttering moonlight, the last words of a language praying for us. Vehelme, visto imen nihista. Look at this one, singing toward his heart. My grandmother, Rena Cook, asked me to bring her stones from the places I would go in Europe and where I traveled. And she kept them in a bag under her bed in the nursing home where her daughter put her. I went to see her, and I bought her a pack of Camel cigarettes she was smoking. She said, "Grandson, when I sleep and just about to wake up, the stones sing to me where they're from." A dream of European stones for Rena Tobacco Cook. My grandmother lies down, her window stained with dusk. She will dream again, waiting for the circular motion of vertigo to pass. She will dream of rocks. They will tell her again their names, one from the North Sea, another from the Mediterranean. They will sing in a language only she can understand. Later, she will tell her granddaughter. Their voices silent as they listen together across the long, good night. I was in hospital in Bologna. It was a minor injury, snake bite. And I was in the emergency ward. And the emergency ward, of course, the 8 beds, they come in. One guy was being guarded by a cop the whole time I was there. They come in screaming. And one night, with the red light in the hallway, I was awake. I couldn't sleep, and a Cheyenne voice entered my ear. It said, "Ima yun ahuta." Wait, a spirit is going to whisper to you. And I closed my eyes and I thought, okay, Henson, this is it, man. When I opened them, a mist had come down the hall from both sides of the room, of the hallway, and entered the room and began to just kind of hover and flutter around all of us. And I could see a nose and a tail and a foot and an eye. The next morning, my wife sneaked me my cheeseburger, and she said, "Lance, a wolf family escaping war has moved into the hills near where we live." The wolf texts. For whom does the world have a name? It is named by those who do not know the world. Names exist so that they will not feel lost in a world that is lost to them already. In a clearing place, I taste a sweet passage. There are flying things beyond the fires of men. They keep their arms as if they were wings. These men are nothing but bones singing to their sorrow. Song of a female wolf in captivity. It is not when I awaken with the stars and shadowed winter dew, nor is it when I cross over the broken toys and burned villages of the forlorn, crow songs at the doorway of the wind, nor when the last of my kin turned away from me, the last time into a half light the color of graying feathers. It is that I know my captors have no God, that I feel alone. I met W.S. Merwin, who was a hero poet of mine when I was in university. We met at the Dodge Poetry Festival that my brother made possible for me to arrive to. I read a poem about Little Fingernail, whose bullet-riddled ledger book is in a vacuum case in the New York Museum of Natural History. It cannot be moved. The story of Little Fingernail you can find in Mary Sando's Cheyenne Autumn. He died at 19 years old. He was a dog soldier. So Merwin, I was up reading. He was sitting out there somewhere with Donald Hall, who just passed. And when I got off the stage, darkness, he was standing there, crying, and he hugged me. He said, when I was a child going through the difficult time with my father, it was Little Fingernail in the Mary Sandoz book that saved me. For W.S. Merwin, I wish you bird medicine for your flying journey. I wish you worm medicine for your crawling journey. I wish you water spirits for your river journey. As you led us from a darkened road to your voice, your sacred voice, I give you tornado spirits, Little Fingernail songs. We carry you with us. Miguel Hernandez was a Mexican poet who was imprisoned many times. And when I was a student in college, there were no books written by native poets in the library. Our generation created them. Hernandez was a favorite of mine. Take leave of the sun and of the earth for me. Miguel Hernandez, Spanish prisoner, 1942. The moon places its handprint upon the earth, and against the sky's vacuous dark, a whippoorwill. What the night harvests is a wheat of fullness, a wheat of voices, the chaff of human light. I place an empty cup on the table in this room and turn toward the direction of a sudden draft of wind. A winter wind outside pours everything over and over while the moon sings. I had a San Carlos Apache aunt. She married my uncle when he returned from Korea, Marine. And when he passed on the San Carlos Apache Reservation, my mother and sister and I drove from Oklahoma in a car to bury him. This is no Arizona highways poem. Mid-afternoon, driving through Globe, my sister drunk in the back seat, naming all the bars the skins hang out in. After passing the San Carlos Apache Reservation, I watched shaky dreams made of rain in the rearview mirror. Pulling into a station for gas, the wipers create a surreal picture of this city. My mouth caught and dry after driving nonstop from Oklahoma. We're just Indians lost in the blur of America. And again, we've come to bury our dead. I was in Paris. I'd come from the Netherlands, and I had a Netherlands army coat with a hood. It was raining. And I sat under a canopy outside Paris Caffe drinking a beer. The morning that I woke up, my wife Janetta called me and said that Bukowski had died. For Bukowski, on hearing of his death. Here in Paris, a small kitten purrs at the waning moon. You are gone, far from the blessed nights where you vomited the terrorist joy of your life. This Dutch army coat smells of cigar smoke and the yellow clouds of a dangerous sky. A man looks a long time at the rain. Some of it falls into his beard. Berta Cáceres was a indigenous water protector, and she was assassinated by Clinton's corporate mercenaries in her homeland in South America. For Berta Cáceres, a river has no name. The sound it knows of wind and moonlight, its singing self, its long memory, bereft of longing, full of human invasion, human crossings, animal crossings, rests in its essential movements. Shaman know it is possible for a river to sing inside a soul. It is you. The first victims of any war are women and children. Right now in Ukraine, the ghastly images of children laying in the street, mothers laying in the street. My wife's father has a cleaning lady recently escaped from Ukraine, and we listened to her stories. This is for the children, victims of war. They watched the rising smoke and reaching out prayed to the opening doors within their small voices. They made a song, though all around them were the dead wings of the world. Beetle, not John Lennon or George Harrison, but Beetle, carrying the last piece of moonlight toward a secret place. Fish wait there in the trembling water. Raven, this is the first breath. This is the last breath. In their human disguises, sitting raven-like, medicine sitting raven-like inside the universe, watching words float by. Iahako, te misiva ensi hiskotsia maayun mah amia. It is windy. Put your arms around us, Mother Earth. Water spirits are flying. From Jordan. At the Hotel Sedin, the heat burns into my skin. Sitting on a small veranda facing a busy street, it is morning, and on the stifling Bedouin wind, the bodies of dead Iraqi children sail by in an array of swirling birds. Their dreams settle around me, whispering the tiniest words, the ones not even the terror of war could tear from their souls. Down a small road, a boy riding a donkey dismounts, searching through the garbage of a dumpster. I closed my eyes, searching for the torn garment of a prayer I found once in Oklahoma among the damp autumn leaves along a river. I burn silver sundance, sage. I burn red homeland cedar. I send the ashes from my feathered tip toward the massacred who are everywhere. Man, where they have been, it is broken. I am eating the edges of themselves they left behind, so they will disappear. Yonesta imisa yoba. He is insane, he hates, he is a coward. I stand upon his dead wings, watching. Moth. There will be this wind of voices coming with us, in the parts of us that cannot die. Hivigima Ihiwo, moth, said this. Syria. Here, all the gods are dead. Here, children fold the brightest parts of themselves inside as if they are still alive. To be a poet today in this world, for some of us, we are haunted. It is not a burden for me. It's an obligation. I had 5 uncles who were all veterans. And when I was drafted, I was driving an ambulance in Durant, Oklahoma, and I received my draft notice. I was in university. So I went home and I asked one of my uncles, the one that was there. He took me out on a boat on 12 Mile Point Creek, Cheyenne country. A small bottle of whiskey. We drank it. He said, "Boy, join the Marines. They'll teach you to kill or go to prison." In '68, for my uncles, sunlight moved inside the 1,000 specks of dust in the Chief Hotel in Tijuana. Your cigarette smoke awoke me, pulsing through the half-opened window. You were never there. The blood on the whiskey bottle was mine. Years later, I still have the words you gave me. I have gone toward those who are lost and found your footprints, even at the edge of nothing. Medicine song. Nesta amea desa ihasana odoish nadot emosio wa nadot domios emon ba eneteskotio amen. My heart is traveling where the forsaken are hiding. I'm going to whisper to their dreams. We will walk upon the ashes of the earth, singing. In Kabul in Afghanistan, which is right now, again, emblazoned with the torture of women, there are women poets who have organized and read secretly to one another. And it's a Cheyenne saying, "For our sister poets in Kabul, a nation is not dead so long as the hearts of the women are not on the ground." Voyager stood by the dying, knowing that death cannot know more than it is given, the sweetness of life in continuance, even as a gray slowness gathers in the sorrowed rain, as in the eyes of the fallen. Refugee, I have heard your voice near water, surrounded by awakening light, where you abandoned your name, your charred and muted memories, a frozen scream in another land. Kofi Owino, brilliant Ghanaian poet. I met him in Singapore. Joe had published both of us, and we had read one another's work through Joe's publications. Nice, brother. We were so happy to meet one another, we drank a bottle of Russian vodka. And we had lectures at 9 o'clock the next morning. Our phones rang, and the angry organizer said, "Meet me downstairs at 10. Took us to the hottest food market in Singapore. Big tall glass of beer and hot food. We made our lectures. Kofi. Now, he died in the Nairobi Mall massacre some years ago, taking his son to the mall. He was waiting in the car. He heard gunfire. He ran in and was killed.
The old Hollow tradition is never run away from the gunfire. Always run toward it.
Kofi. Now your words have entered a frontier known only to poets in our collective book of wind. From the edge, where the dust rises, darkness opens its gate. Moths find the wings of their ancestors, listening to the light still inside them, and hold them up as a prayer for the world. For the coming year, and the coming year, and the coming year. Mouths filled with the songs of animals. Here are shadow wings enfolding the innocent in a shawl deeper than night. How much time do I have?
Couple minutes.
Okay. There are people on this planet who can see. They can see the world as it is. I look for those people. Sometimes I find them. Seers singing themselves from the misery of the world, singing toward the sleeping ones who are yet to awaken, tremoring inside the air, a deepened motion of prayer, hovering on the front line where they place their bodies. Anti-demonic, ancient whispering has found its place among you, where stillness and resistance have a form. One more. This is a poem I wrote in Foggia, southern Italy, where the two mafia groups are fighting one another right now. It's a war zone in certain parts of that city. Dawn raises its hands in another country. Tiny owls watching from the undersides of trees, where time has brought its blind children to sit under the clicking leaves. Yanahana mahakotame otsotomatonea e war. Nice, brother.
Thank you, Lance. Let's hear it for Lance one more time. All right, so now we're gonna do our open